Well, my friends, we are finally approaching the end of a journey that we have been on together. You have made it through your fifth and final section of plain weaving. And so I have some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is you are about to get to take your tapestry off your loom, which is a really big deal for the first time as a weaver you do that. The bad news is it might seem like you're really close to being done, but actually the next two steps take kind of a long time. So take a deep breath, settle in. I'm going to break up this demo into two parts. The first part is tying off your warp ends. The second part will be weaving in your loose weft ends. So all you're going to need for this part of the process is a pair of snips and a tapestry needle. And actually, you won't even need a tapestry needle for this first part because you're just going to remove your tapestry and tie off the warp ends. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove my popsicle stick. Thank you for your service. And now I'm going to cut my tapestry off my loom. This might feel kind of stressful because, you know, you're attached to it at this point, but it's time. We're ready. We're going to graduate. It doesn't actually matter if you cut the top or the bottom. You do want to cut very close to the end so that you're preserving as much of this length as possible to work with. And you're going to cut across the top. And then when you get to the end, you are not going to actually cut down here because what will happen is now that the top is no longer attached, you can actually just lift and remove it from the bottom. And there you go. You can put your loom to the side. And now you have your loose tapestry. It's a little wild. You got a lot of like wiggly bits to deal with. But for now, we're going to start by tying up our warp. So I'm going to show you, let's start from this end, which is not the end where the weaving starts. We're going to start on the bottom. So here's my tapestry. Here's the top, here's the bottom. We're going to start on the bottom. And you might notice at the end over here where this is the side where my weaving started, it looks like it's kind of coming a little bit undone. We're just going to leave that for last. We're going to start over on this side and then work our way over. So a couple things about this step. So what we're going to be doing is tying knots. We're going to tie two ends of the tapestry warp together. When we do that, it's going to trap the weaving in there so that it doesn't come unwoven. So it's a pretty straightforward process. The tricky thing is not tying it too tight, not tying it too loose, and keeping it consistent across the width of the tapestry. So we are just going to do an overhand knot, which is the same kind of knot we did at the very beginning to get our warp onto our tapestry. Now, if it freaks you out that this is a loop at the end, you can cut it in half. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Okay. So you've got your two ends. You're going to, for your overhand knot, wrap both ends together around your finger and then pull them through. And now here's where things get a little bit tricky because you want your knot, trying to make this more visible. Let me lift it up for a second. You want your knot to end right up there without it being, and you want it to be even, without it being like too tight. Okay, so I'm going to pull that up. That's looking pretty good. Then I'm going to go ahead and tighten it. I'm just going to do this like gently, a little bit at a time, and then really tighten it. Okay. That is your first knot. So you're going to repeat that now, going all the way across. Wrapping around your finger, pulling it through, snugging it up gently, trying to keep it as even as possible. Okay, now I'm just going to look and see. Okay, those look pretty even to me, so I'm going to continue on. I'll demo one more here. Wrapping around the finger, going through the hole, pulling it snug. And just as you're going, just check and see, like, okay, that's pretty much maintaining a straight line. Feeling pretty good about that tension. I'm going to skip ahead to just show over here. Things are a little wild over here. So I'm going to get all these extra yarn bits out of the way. We'll deal with them next. But when you get to the final rows, you just want to make sure that you don't tie them any looser or tighter so that they capture that last warp thread, which you will weave up and through and into the back after you've gone through and tied all your knots. So go ahead and continue tying all of your knots across. After you're done tying your knots all the way across this side, then you're going to come up to the top and you're going to do exactly the same thing. Now, if you feel like you need to see that a couple more times, I'm going to leave this video running and cut a couple more, or tie a couple more overhand knots. If you feel like you are all set, you can end the video now and go forth and tie your knots. And we'll do one more.